Hey guys, welcome back to A Swift Recovery. So this is my second video. So today I am going to be talking about communicating mental health needs again. My previous video I did was sort of strategies, hints, tips and advice on how you can communicate your mental health needs to people around you when you sort of need support and you need that kind of help. Now today's video is going to be along very similar lines, but it's going to be flipped on its head and targeting the other side. So this video is all about what to do, what to say to somebody who comes to you for support with their mental health when you haven't got a clue, basically. First of all, I think it's really important to just outline the fact that I am not a doctor, I'm not a counsellor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a mental health professional in any regard. I am purely speaking from my own experiences and the experiences of those around me and things that I've discovered while suffering with my own mental illness. I personally suffer from bipolar disorder, which has a combination of depression and mania. So as I've said, I have done a previous video on how to communicate your mental health needs. I will pop the link in the description below. Today, as I say, we're going to be focusing on what to do when somebody comes to you. Quite often, when people come to us with problems, something that they're going through, we often try to relate this to our own experiences and we try and empathise with them that way, which is great. But what if you've never experienced any kind of mental health difficulties and you don't have that personal experience that you can use? Or what if you've tried to help somebody with mental health in the past and you've actually had a really negative response from this? It can be really off-putting. It can make us feel like we don't know what to do, we don't know what to say, we don't want to make it worse, and we just feel a little stuck. Now there's loads of resources on the internet about things that you can do to help and support people, from groups to online counselling to understanding a little bit better. But these are just going to be a few little tips and tricks for that initial conversation that you're going to have with this person, how you can be the most supportive that you can be, without actually putting yourself at a detriment as well, which we'll get to in a little while. So the first step is to respond. Now this might seem blatantly obvious or really ridiculous to even say to some of you, but you would be surprised how many times I have personally reached out to somebody and been met with silence, no replies. If this is an online message, been left on read, and it's horrible. And I'll tell you why it's horrible, because that person who has messaged you has spent hours, days, possibly weeks or even months trying to build themselves up into a place where they have the ability to reach out for help. They are already probably past the point where they can cope themselves, and then to be met with no reply instantly just sends us spiralling. So our illness already tells us that we're a burden, that we're silly, that we're stupid, we're pathetic, we shouldn't feel this way, no one loves us, no one cares about us. And when we don't get a response, we are effectively being given evidence that in our minds supports that theory, and then we start to spiral into this really dark, negative place, and it makes us really, really hard for us to speak up again and to reach out again. So the first thing I would definitely say is respond. Now, you may or may not be caught up with something. That's absolutely fine. You know, we would much rather receive a message, hey, I really want to talk to you about this properly. I'm currently at work with the kids, shopping, whatever. I will get back to you as soon as I can, at this time. You know, anything that you can give us, just so we know that we're not being shunned and ignored. It also really helps us not panic and think that we've just massively embarrassed ourselves, because that is how we will be feeling if you're anything like me. So the second thing is about honesty, so being honest. So what we sometimes find when people reach out through no fault of their own is that they are left to feel quite invalidated, because they are met with responses like, oh, that's normal, I feel that way sometimes too, I get tired too, I get days where I feel down too. And no, it's not the same. You're probably experiencing very, very similar feelings and mental states, but you're not experiencing it to the extent that somebody with a mental illness. You know, if you're feeling it 10%, they're feeling it 100%. And it's really invalidating to be told, oh, I feel that way too, when you don't. What is actually much more comforting to hear is actually for you to be honest and say, look, I can't fully comprehend how that must feel, but I'm really sorry that you're struggling with this. You know, what can I do to help? And start to bridge that gap. We don't expect you to be the mental health expert. We're probably not even quite 100% sure what's going on ourselves. Now this again comes down to trying to empathise with people. We relate other people's experiences to our own. But I guess it's similar to the difference between a fracture and a broken bone. You know, sadness would be like a fracture, whereas depression is more like a broken bone. They're similar, but one is a greater extent to the other, if that makes any sense. So, third thing is, don't try and find the solution. Don't try and fix the problem. More often than not, we are met with, oh, well, if you feel this way, then you should do this, this and this to make yourself feel better. This is going to get you out of a slump. You know, you should exercise, see friends, make sure you eat, make sure you shower, all of those things. We're not stupid. We have more than likely tried these things and they haven't worked, or we are past the point where we can actually force ourselves to go through those motions, and we can't do that. That isn't just going to fix the problem, and it's really, really frustrating when we're being given a list of things to do that either we can't do because we're too sick, or we've tried and we feel like you're not listening and you're not hearing us when we're saying we've tried these things and you're giving us solutions. You know, it's really important to understand that if you don't fully understand how somebody is feeling, you're very unlikely to be able to find the solution to their problem. The good news, however, is that for the majority of the time, we don't want you to. We're not looking for you to fix the problem. Most of the time, we just need support. We need a release, we need an ear, we need somebody in our corner that can support us. We're not looking for you to do the hard work for us. We know that that ultimately falls on us. So sometimes it's very useful to give suggestions, and other times it will not be met well at all, because that person is not in the headspace to be hearing it at that time. They're just looking for someone to support them, someone to listen to them. So that leaves you in a tricky position. You're not a mental health professional, you've got very little experience in this field. How on earth are you supposed to know whether we need suggestions and solutions, or if we just want somebody to listen to us get this all off our chest? How are you supposed to know? Well, it's really easy. You just ask us. Now, you might not say, oh, well, do you want me to fix the problem, or are you just looking to have a moan? Obviously, that's not going to help, but, you know, something along the lines of, you know, I'm really pleased that you feel like you can talk to me about this. If there's anything that I think of while we're going through that might help, do you want me to tell you, or are you looking to get all of this off your chest first? It's going to be received a lot better. And then you will know whether you are expected to just listen and keep quiet, or if they genuinely do want some practical interventive support, some ideas. So step 4 is about questioning. So sometimes, again, this comes back to not fully understanding what we mean. Sometimes we downplay what we're trying to say. We might say things like, my head's not right, I'm in a funk, down day, something like that, and we kind of play it off, and we don't really give any detail whatsoever or any kind of substance to what's actually going on, and it will leave you guys just completely haven't got a clue what this person is experiencing. Ask us. Again, there's nothing wrong with asking us. So when you say you're having a down day, what does that feel like to you? What happens to you when that is the case? And we'll be able to explain, or we can at least try to start to explain to you exactly what we mean, because we're going to start to feel more comfortable telling you about the detail, because you've not completely dismissed us the second we say our head's in a funk. You haven't just gone, oh, I don't know what to do, I'm just going to run away. So question, ask us questions. Again, be respectful. It's all about understanding at the same time. Bit of patience. We may really struggle at first to communicate to you what's going on. So ask follow-up questions. Okay, so you said this, you feel really tired. Like, is it a sleepy tired? Is it a physical exhaustion? You know, is it a mental exhaustion? How does that feel? And all of those sorts of questions. I'm just picking them off the top of my head, as you can probably tell, but it all goes a really, really long way to gaining that understanding. So, step 5, and this one's really important, and this one is about respecting our privacy. So it's important when you're talking to somebody about their mental health that you can kind of establish if they're a bit like me, complete open book, happy to talk about anything, or if they're really wanting to keep this private, because mental health is very personal. It's going on in here. We're the only ones that feel it and experience it firsthand when it's happening in our own minds, and it is a private thing. So it's important that you don't accidentally share information with a third party or let something on that makes things immediately obvious to somebody else if that person's not comfortable with the world knowing their private business, which a lot of people aren't. And again, we're not expecting you to be a psychic mind reader and establish this on your own. Just ask us. Just ask us. Are we comfortable? Can I speak to people? Can I gain support? I know X who's been through similar. Can I put you in contact with them? So on and so forth. It's really, really, really important. So, step 6. Now, this is about setting boundaries, which is something we don't talk about anywhere near enough when it comes to supporting someone with a mental issue, a mental health issue, whether it's an illness or a slight blip at the time. We don't talk about boundaries enough. So, more often than not, I hear, "Oh, I'm really sorry, call me anytime, is there anything you need? Let me know," which is great until it's 3:15 in the morning and I'm in a crisis and all these call me anytime people are nowhere to be found. Now, most people have jobs or kids or appointments to make, things they need to be doing. They are not free all of the time. So instead of telling us, "Call me anytime," let's be a bit more practical about it, you know. I'm here for you whenever you need. However, if I'm at work or if I'm with the kids, I'll get back to you as soon as possible. You know, I finish work at 6, 5, whatever that may look like, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Or I'm just making the dinner and then I want to have a proper conversation with you about it. I'll get back to you. Now, that's important for the person who's suffering because, again, they know what to expect. But that's really important for you as well, because you can't be expected to be there every second of every day. That's impractical and exhausting, and you're going to end up burning yourself out, and then that's 2 people that need support, and we're not going in the direction that we want to be going in. It's also really important that you don't do too much. You know, you don't, again, burn yourself out by supporting somebody else. If you're finding that you're working a full-time job, for example, and then you're leaving and you're going straight into caring for someone else, supporting someone else, whether that's driving them around, making them food, or even just being on the other end of the phone, they're all great, but that is not a sustainable lifestyle for you, and we need you to be healthy, because if you're not healthy, first of all, you then need support, and we're going to feel terrible for putting that on you, but secondly, if your glass is full, you're not going to be able to take on any of our water, so you're not going to be able to help us, you're not going to be able to support us if you're overwhelmed, burnt out. So please, 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 when you are supporting people with mental health, you still come first. You have to put yourself first, because nobody else is going to do that. Now, obviously, saying, "I need a break from you, you're too much, you're burning me out, you're exhausting me," really not going to help us. But I just need a couple of hours for myself. I just need some time to reflect. I need to go and have a rest. I'm really tired. We're going to understand. You know, the whole world doesn't revolve around us just because we've got a mental illness. We may be really, really desperate, and some points in crisis is that we need that immediate support. We're not always in a 10 out of 10 crisis. So make sure that you're always looking after yourself as well as looking after the people that you're trying to support. So in conclusion, you can probably tell there's a bit of a running theme here. It's all about communicating, honesty, and asking questions. We're not going to bridge this gap of understanding until we feel empowered and safe to ask questions when we don't understand. Now, it's not going to all go swimmingly probably the first time. You're not going to go from, I've got no idea, to I could be a psychiatrist, I could be a counsellor, I've got all of this knowledge. Of course not. But the more we understand and the more we can bridge that gap and get closer and closer to an understanding, the more supportive we're going to be able to be for our loved ones. So I hope that video has been somewhat helpful. As I say, I will post the link to my previous video in the description, as well as my blog. So my blog has a number of different topics that I'm yet to get onto YouTube, all around different mental health illnesses, some experiences, some advice, some support. So if you may find that useful, I will link that below as well.